In the immense, brutal theater of World War II, battles weren't just fought with steel, gunpowder, and human lives. Some of the most critical engagements were battles of the mind, waged with illusions, trickery, and pure imagination. This is the incredible, declassified story of an army that never truly existed, yet managed to save countless lives and help change the course of history. Imagine it's 1944. The air across Europe is thick with tension. The Allies are poised on the brink of the largest amphibious invasion ever attempted, the D-Day landings in Normandy. The success of this monumental operation hinges on one crucial element: surprise. If the German High Command could pinpoint the exact time and place of the invasion, they would concentrate their formidable forces, turning the beaches of Normandy into a catastrophic kill zone. The entire war in the West could be lost before it truly began. To prevent this disaster, the Allies needed more than just a plan. They needed a grand deception. They needed to convince the Germans to look the other way. And so, born from this necessity, one of the most bizarre and brilliant military units in history was created. Its official designation was the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, but they would become known by a much more fitting name: the Ghost Army. What was this army's primary weapon? Not tanks, but inflatable rubber replicas of tanks. Their artillery wasn't made of hardened steel, but of cleverly painted wood and canvas. They fielded entire squadrons of aircraft that couldn't fly because they were nothing more than wooden frames. From a reconnaissance plane flying thousands of feet in the air, these props were indistinguishable from the real thing. A division of Sherman tanks could materialize overnight in a French field, menacing and ready for battle. But on the ground, a few soldiers could pick one up and move it with their bare hands. These phantom divisions were meticulously arranged to mimic the patterns of a genuine military buildup, creating a powerful illusion of strength where there was only air. But visual deception was only one part of their arsenal. The true genius of the Ghost Army lay in its mastery of sound. This wasn't just about looking like an army, it was about sounding like one. The unit recruited sound engineers, many of them from Hollywood's top studios. They went to military bases and meticulously recorded every sound an army makes. The rumble of tank treads, the clatter of engineers building pontoon bridges, the shouts of officers, the marching of thousands of boots on pavement, they captured it all. These recordings were then edited onto massive wire spools and played back through powerful, custom-built speakers mounted on the backs of trucks. Under the cover of darkness, these sound trucks would drive near the front lines and blast their sonic illusions across the fields and forests of France. German sound-ranging units, listening intently for any sign of Allied movement, would pick up the noise. Their reports would fly up the chain of command: a massive armored division is on the move near this location. Thousands of troops are assembling for an attack. The Germans heard an army, so they believed an army was there. They were fighting a phantom, a foe made of sound waves and electrical impulses. So, who were the men who wielded these strange weapons of war? They weren't your typical soldiers. The Ghost Army was a motley crew of creatives, a regiment of artists. The unit actively recruited from art schools, advertising agencies, and design studios across the United States. It was a collection of painters, illustrators, actors, architects, and sound technicians. Future fashion designer Bill Blass was in the unit. So was Ellsworth Kelly, who would become a famous minimalist painter. Other members went on to become celebrated photographers and filmmakers. Their unique mission was to lie, and to do it with artistic perfection. This form of deception was called spoof radio. These actors and writers would create entire fake radio networks. Mimicking the chatter of a real military command, they learned the lingo, the codes, and even the unique conversational tics of different radio operators. They would broadcast hours of phony messages, creating a rich, believable tapestry of a massive army going about its daily business, requesting supplies, reporting movements, and even complaining about the food. German intelligence officers, intercepting these signals, would painstakingly piece them together, and knowingly building their entire picture of the Allied order of battle on a foundation of pure fictio. And the performance didn't stop there. Soldiers would stitch fake uni patches onto their uniforms and visit nearby French towns. They'd sit in cafes, deliberately spreading false rumors about their division and its plans, knowing that local German spies and sympathizers were always listening. They would drive a single jeep in circles for hours to create the impression of heavy convoy traffic, leaving behind a confusing web of tire tracks. They'd set up fake headquarters, complete with a phony general who would ostentatiously stride around, and then they would vanish overnight, leaving behind only the evidence of their brief, illusory presence. The cumulative effect of these deceptions was staggering. German intelligence became utterly convinced that the main Allied invasion force, led by the renowned General George S. Patton, was massing at Pas de Calais, the narrowest point of the English Channel. It was the most logical place to attack, and the Ghost Army's elaborate performance confirmed all of their assumptions. They saw tanks, they heard troop movements, they intercepted radio traffic. Every piece of evidence pointed to Calais. As a result, Hitler and his generals kept some of their best and most experienced panzer divisions stationed there, holding them in reserve to repel the expected invasion. They were waiting for a ghost. Then, on June 6, 1944, the real invasion began. Thousands of Allied soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy, hundreds of miles to the southwest. The German units that could have rushed to Normandy to crush the beachhead were still stuck at Calais, anticipating an attack that would never materialize. The deception had worked. By drawing enemy forces away from the real battle, the Ghost Army had saved an estimated tens of thousands of Allied lives. They had performed their mission flawlessly, using creativity and gall to fool one of the most powerful military machines in history. And they did it all without firing a single shot in anger. In fact, their primary defense was to pack up their rubber tanks and run if they were ever discovered. For decades after the war, the story of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops remained one of the military's most closely guarded secrets. The soldiers were sworn to secrecy, ordered never to speak of their inflatable tanks, their sound effects, or their elaborate performances. They returned to their civilian lives, their incredible contributions to the war effort hidden from public view. Their stories were locked away in classified files, their legacy known only to a select few. It wasn't until the 1990s that the mission was finally declassified, and the world began to learn the astonishing truth. We learned that the tools of war are not always what they seem. We learned that sometimes, the most powerful weapon is not a bomb, but an idea. The Ghost Army proved that war is not just a contest of strength, but a battle of wits. They showed that imagination, creativity, and the power of deception can be just as decisive as any division of infantry or armor. Their story is a testament to the fact that truth can often be stranger, and far more fascinating, than fiction. It's a reminder that behind the grand narratives of history there are countless hidden stories of ingenuity and courage, stories of artists who went to war and fought their battles with paintbrushes, speakers, and the power of a perfectly crafted lie. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden histories.